Hello everyone, welcome back. Coffee Mug here. So I just landed on Fulgora. I'm getting ready to hopefully scale this up to 1800 signs per minute. First thing I did though is I went around and dropped off some small little radar units so I could start, scanning the surrounding area, looking for good platforms to kind of do my development on. I found a couple big islands, particularly this one right here is really big. I think this one actually will be perfect for what I want to accomplish, at least for my scrap production. But before I got started, I really needed to do some planning. So my initial base here worked relatively well. This has been running, almost 200 hours now. So this, at the beginning, if you watched this whole playthrough, I was using bots to deliver stuff. Then eventually I went and swapped it out with trains. But it's been running consistently, and it's been producing signs consistently, and I've been able to also do some yellow signs production, which I just removed, so I'm not going to use for a while. And then I also have been upcycling these quality modules. I got several hundred of those now, which I've been slowly incorporating throughout my base back home. Now that I'm ready to scale things up, it presents some new challenges. This is probably the planet I was actually most stressed out about. Like, I think I've kind of figured out Gleba, and I think Gleba's gonna be pretty easy. The rest of this, I'm actually worried about getting the scrap production right, because I've been doing some planning, and it's gonna be a lot harder than I think. So let me pull up this planner here. And so if you remember on my, let me hide this again. So my initial base here had 5 of these electromagnetic plants. Without modules, this makes about 90 signs per minute, and I kind of like that because that's consistent with, I was kind of talking about in my Megabase planning video when I have these assembler 1s and then assembler 2s and assembler 3s. When these are all assembler 3 factories, with on module assembly, 3 factories makes about 75 signs per minute. So I think that lines up nicely with these 5 making 90. And I think I would, as I was planning out how I want to build this initial kind of intermediate stage mega base with all rare quality stuff, I decided to go for 5 of these again, so I can do a similar type of thing where I keep a similar type of science production unit and then just kind of scale up as I move on. So that's kind of what I want to develop, a five electromagnetic plant modules that does about 1850 signs per minute. And so when I pull back up this planner here, so this is the same planner I did. Hold on, let me adjust this on my screen. There we go. So this is the same planner I used when I did my Megabase planning, and so what I did is I plugged in electromagnetic signs plants, and I set that to 1800 signs per minute, and I was adjusting the number of beacons and modules and stuff to try to figure out what I wanted to accomplish. And so what I found a good strategy here is I have a 8 beacons set up with all rare stuff, and that should require 4.61 machines, or rounding up, that's 5 machines. So this is kind of the beacon structure I think I want to look for. And then what I did to plan out the rest and sort of figure out how much scrap I need is I went through, and everything that I would get from scrapping, like plastic, for example, you have to change the recipe because you don't want it to try to, you have to select all the sources you're going to get plastic from if you want this calculator to be right. And so all my plastic is going to come from recycling, so advanced circuit recycling and low density structure. And then I had to go through and kind of set that recipe for everything, just so I could plan this space out correctly. So a couple things I noticed here, if you look at these items in red, those are excess I get from scrapping. Actually, I gotta uncheck that. Right, and so if I'm running scrap at full enough speed to run this base now, 1800 signs per minute, this tells me how much excess I'm going to be getting. So getting a lot of excess red circuits, a lot of excess everything. And what I found is interesting that this is going to produce excess holonium, and where it looks like I'm limited is going to be my batteries. Right, and this was kind of weird for me at first because I remember reading some stuff on the forums and Reddit, and a lot of people talk about this planet being holonium restrained, but according to this calculator, it wasn't the case for batteries. And so as soon as I kind of was plugging this information into the calculator, I was doing some more forum browsing, and I found that a lot of people also find that it is the batteries that are short, And as you really kind of scale up, a lot of people would either ship in batteries from Volcanus, because you could use the sulfuric acid and iron and copper is free there, so you can basically make free batteries in Volcanus and ship them in. Right, so some people did that. Some people made batteries using the excess copper and iron, right? Because you get a lot of excess copper and iron. Then you can take the heavy oil, convert that to light oil, petroleum, and make sulfur and sulfuric acid, which is quite a lot of steps. But then when you do that, you start running low on water. So even though I'm making a lot of excess of water, if I scale this down a bit to match the holonium output, I guess what happens is you get water constrained. I haven't really tried it, so I can't confirm that. But that's kind of my understanding of what's happening. And so those are some of the options. So you could either like ship in water from like a space platform or something like that. Some people said they shipped in coal from the space platform and did coal liquefaction. Right, so there's different space platform ideas people used. There's shipping stuff in from Volcanus. And then the third kind of strategy, this is what I'm going to go with, is I'm just going to recycle excess scrap, like more and more scrap until I get enough batteries from scrap. And that will produce a lot of excess holonium, which would be kind of nice because I can use these holonium plates. Because I'll need excess holonium plates anyway, right? Because I got to send those to Quillo to do cryogenic science, and plus I want to do like holonium plate upcycling to get like quality, epic quality stuff I need holonium for later on. And of course that'll like translate all throughout the like lithium stuff, because I need holonium to make lithium, and then all the stuff I need legendary lithium for, I want this too. So I don't mind having excess scrap here, even though I'm kind of not necessarily wasting it, because hopefully I'll be able to use up all this excess holonium doing some type of production. But this gave me an idea of how much I need. So just to kind of double check my math here, here it says I'll need about 8.4 holonium per second. So I set up another page here where I just strictly put in holonium. And you can see when I do this, I do have a large excess of everything. But when I put in the amount I need for batteries, so I produce 49.15 batteries from scrapping alone. I also even make more excess of everything. So this just kind of double checks my math. And when I look at my main thing here, so when I look at how much scrap I need to scrap 614.37 per second, which is a lot of scrap. It's almost a little over 2.5 fully stacked turbo belts or green belts. So I need 3 full lanes to be scrap. But then we look at holonium, right? To make the holonium I need, I only need to scrap, this is kind of funny, 420 items per second. But when you look at batteries, again, this confirms I need 614.38. So this does kind of confirm that batteries are the kind of shortcoming of what I need to fix, basically. So I need to scale up. I basically need to recycle 614.38 scrap per second effectively, or almost. I'm going to try to get almost three full turbo belts effectively. So that's kind of my plan, and I think it's tricky. So one thing that's interesting is you can change your recipe productivity bonuses, and so I have this set at 100 because I think I'm at level 10. Actually, let's kind of double check while I'm here. So where's recycling? Recycling's right here. Oh, I'm actually at 12. Or sorry, I'm at 11, so I'm actually a little bit higher than that. But that's what I think is really interesting about, I think, scaling this planet up, which is why I think it's going to be so challenging, is that it's hard to pre-plan out your recycling arrays, because as your recycling array increases, you have to, or I'll probably have to change the structure of my recycling arrays. And what I mean by that is, so if we look at here, I'll show you my current arrays. You can see here, I just got a non-stacked turbo belt coming in, but if you look at like these 6 right here are the 6 that output on this half of the belt. And if you look at these last two, like these last two aren't even outputting stuff because the belt's full after, even like the 4th one is full here. The ones up above, like the 4th one works, but the 5th one doesn't. So basically, with the single stacked green belt, I can only run 4 of these rare recyclers with filling the output belt, right? And I know that I saw there's some tricks you can use by like putting it into a box and doing other things, but I don't really want to do that. I want to do like strictly belt based and no bots. And so what's going to happen is as my recycling productivity increases, I'll need less and less recyclers per lane. So adding extra, what that does is create the situation where extra recycling, scrap recycling productivity doesn't actually benefit me if I'm just output constrained, right? And so that's kind of what I'm thinking, and I really kind of want to plan ahead is how can I set up this recycling setup to not be like belt constrained on the output side, while like being able to take advantage of that scrap productivity increase as it continues to increase. Because once I get this electromagnetic science research set up, I can really like blast this scrap recycling productivity for a while and get this up really high pretty quickly. Because I'll be doing, I'm doing consistent here if you look at my signs per minute, I'm at 7199. So I'm capable of producing 7200. So I'm consuming just like a hair under what I need, which is perfect. And that's been really nice back on Novice, because what it does is it makes just a slight backfill, and then all my lanes get full because you have just a very slight overproduction, and I think it makes all the belts look a lot nicer. That's my challenge for this base. Some more planning stuff I was doing here. So I was just thinking about everything I need for this. And how I want to build this, and I got some ideas in my head. So what I'm going to do is have independent outposts for each of the main components: the supercapacitors, superconductors, accumulators, electrolyte, and holonium solution and plates. So I'm going to have six different production outposts. Everything else I'm going to load up into trains and kind of train it where I need to take it. And then I'm going to have these 6 different production outposts, or 7 technically, because I have electrolyte, holonium plates. I think I can actually combine these into one. That's probably what I'll do. So I have one outpost here for holonium stuff, one outpost for electrolyte, one outpost for accumulators, one outpost for superconductors, and then one for supercapacitors, and then one, of course, for electromagnetic science. So I already started planning out some holonium solutions, and this is kind of an interesting look at how I design a lot of my builds, because I know a lot of people, I've had a few people message me now that I've started like scaling up stuff, like how do you like design your builds or whatever. Like one of you asked me that. So if that was you, here's kind of your answer that I'm hoping I'm giving you a good answer. Is you want to make sure you're producing enough, right? So my electromagnetic science, I need to produce 621 per 0.57 second. So I know that I at least have to make that. So right now, if you can see, I have it set up for 4,000, way more than enough. And I'll show you why I decided here on 20 machines. And so the first thing I do is I kind of look for things like how much belt space stuff takes up when I'm designing larger scale builds like this. So this is going to be enough holonium to last me. I did some numbers on this. I think this is enough holonium solution for me to run like 10,000 signs per minute. So I'm kind of like pre-planning some of these outposts for future stuff. And so what I did is I take the holonium solution, I pick the plant, so I know I'm going to use rare quality chemical plants with rare quality modules and rare quality beacons. And what I do is I have this set by machines, so I adjust the number of machines and the number of beacons to try to find like key little benchmark values in the other production things. And so what I mean by that is my holonium solution here has 3 inputs: water, holonium ore, and stone. And so here I'm looking at the number of belts that I need. So if you look at this, stone has just a hair under 1 fully stacked turbo belt. And so that's why I decided, hey, this like 20 machines is probably good because, right, I can just have 1 single full belt of stone, right? And so that means I can have I know that when I make this build, I need 1 belt of stone. I can pair that up with 1 belt of holonium, but really I only need like half a belt. So I start thinking about how what my build is going to look like and how I'm going to have to manage the belt structures ahead of time. And so what that kind of tells me what I probably will do is have a belt of half holonium, half stone. So that'll mean half a belt of stone and a tiny amount of holonium. So I'm going to have like 1 belt and that will feed 10 machines, right? So if I put 10 machines in here instead of 20, right, I'd have just under half a belt of stone in obviously way less than half a belt holonium. So that I know that I can have like a shared stacked belt for these two, and I can feed 10 machines, right? And then I can pair that up like, you know, a stack on each side of 20 that combines and makes a full, basically, stack of production, where I can use like a splitter to split a single belt into two half belts and feed two stacks of 10, right? And so that's kind of how I start thinking about these designs. I think about like, how many belts do I need for a particular thing, right? Or and then to kind of find the correct amount of belt space I need, I adjust either the beacons or the number of machines based on what I can imagine to build. And I've built enough chemical plant builds now that I know like eight beacon chemical plant builds I kind of know how to do, and I know that's like something I can do pretty easily. And this is also easily able to pare down, right? I can you know, if this was like at the start of the game, I could just not even use beacons because maybe I don't have them made yet, right? And even though that here I'm still making 260 holonium per second, which isn't enough to feed what I need, the 621. But if I don't want to put all these beacons down now because I don't really need them, so what I can do is just adjust the number of beacons until I get to the target I need. So like a single beacon build here is going to build 1700 signs per minute, or 1700 selenium solution per minute, which is way more than I need, right? So really all I need for the selenium solution is just a single beacon per chemical plant build, right? And that's going to make way excess I need. Then if I do eventually want to scale this up and make more stuff, I can just increase the number of beacons and increase the output S, whatever, you know, it ends up needing. And so I was thinking of just going all out and just putting all 8 now and just have like holonium solution done for a little bit. I was originally thinking that might be what I want to do, but now that I think about it, I think just a single beacon like this will produce more than enough, and then I'd have, you know, 7 less beacons, or sorry, it would be like 14 less beacons because of 2 on each side for each stack, and maybe it's 21, a lot less beacons, a ton less beacons, which means that needs a lot less power, a lot less accumulators, right? And so I can start here and adjust up as I need for my holonium solution. So this is how I know I'm going to do my holonium build, and it does kind of change the number of belts too when you do that, right? So so it's kind of what I have is a situation where I can start with 1 beacon, this will work with 1 beacon, then I can scale up to 8 as I need, or I can scale back and do none. It's fine if I use none because that'll fit just my regular base without beacons that I can build in the future. So this will be like a whole future proof electrolyte solution build essentially. And then for electrolyte, I was kind of running in the same thing. It turns out with the electrolyte, I mean, heavy oil is kind of trivial because you just pump that from the lake. I already accounted for the electrolyte or the holonium solution, so I'll just ship that in for my electrolyte. This here, you can see I'm using a lot because this is, again, way excess of what I need. For my factory, I needed 382. I was originally planning to make you know, way excess again because I was kind of planning out a beacon. And again, like I don't need that much now, so I can scale it down. Let's see what happens when I put 1. All right, so now that makes 871 per minute, and I need 382. So this would be a pretty large excess of holonium. And if I, that's just like a large excess of electrolyte. I still have an excess of electrolyte. What that tells me is that I'm going to make more than enough holonium and electrolyte for my science packs here. And then if I have extra, I can use that for my holonium upcycling and production stuff. And if I do need more electrolyte and I do need more holonium, I can just scale up the chemical plants beacons as needed, right? And then this one was, this is kind of a weird build because you're never really like constrained as far as resources go. I dropped down to a default stack size of 1. And I still don't even have a full belt of stone. So this is going to be, I mean, it's basically 2 liquids and a trivial amount of stone. So this is going to be a pretty simple build, I think. And then if we go back up to 8 beacons, I think I need 2 belts of stone. So what I would probably do is I still stack it anyway, and then I'll just have excess stuff on the belt. You know, I can still just do that. So this would be, these 2 builds are probably going to end up being very similar. This one's 2 solids and a liquid. This one's 2 liquids and a solid. but the general pattern is going to be almost the same for these. And then I still haven't really planned out my supercapacitors and superconductors and accumulators yet, or the holonium plates. So what I'll probably do with the holonium solution is just have a bunch of holonium solution go to a train, and then some of it go off to the side and make a bunch of holonium plates, and have like a holonium solution train and a holonium plate train in a single production unit. And then the holonium plates, I set it as a rare foundry. To make enough holonium plates, you only need 0.3 0.3 foundries with the 1 beacon foundry. So like, I'm basically just going to need like a single foundry making plates, and that'll make way more holonium plates than I actually need to run this base. So I'll probably even do like a large beacon, maybe like a 12 beacon foundry, and just have a single foundry, and then that'll just pump out plates left and right. So that'll be really a simple add-on to my solution. So then I just have to plan these accumulators and superconductor stuff. I don't think these will be too hard, because these are just, you know, you just got to ship in the resources from the trains, and then it's just a 3-item or 2-item and 3-item build, which those are, I already, you know, did hundreds of builds like that, even back on Novice, right? That's basically, all my builds in Novice are effectively, the ones on here, those are just effectively like going to be the same, right? I just got to produce accumulators or whatever, like these. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as planning goes. You know, I think what I'm going to do is use this island right here, and I think I might have my trains sort of drop off on the right hand side and have a large scrapping array like right around here, and have trains come pick up materials here on the left side. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So that's probably what I'm going to do first. I'm just going to let this run and ignore it, and then build a completely separate factory, and then eventually tear this down or transfer over what I need. Actually, what I'll probably do is use this. I kind of like this island here. I think it looks kind of like a shark. It's or a whale. I don't know. Like, this is the head over here, and then that's a giant fin. This is his belly. This is like his eyeball. So I kind of like that island. I think I might use that as a production island, just for you know, it's my first island on Fulgora, so it'll be nostalgic for me. But then I'm gonna do most of my production here, then just find suitable islands. You know, these several large, bigger islands around here I can use for my different production sites. So that's the plan, and let's head over here and start thinking about my scrap array, and let's get started.